Yes, that's how expensive Netflix gets. Over the decades, I've heard things like piracy isn't okay, don't support piracy, don't pirate movies, piracy is going to be the end of the world as we know it. I was also one of many kids in the early 2000s who had seen that infamous PSA from, of all places, the Motion Picture Association. You know, the one with the shaky camera footage and the bold text and the people breaking in to steal property, especially a DVD? Yeah, that's the same advertisement that I saw 20 years ago. Now, when many of us saw that PSA for the first time, some of us were thinking, what? It told us we shouldn't steal a movie? Well, that makes us more interested in doing the thing that we shouldn't even be doing. Not to mention, this was during a time when services like Napster were starting to gain traction because distributors didn't even have some form of digital distribution platform to release their movies or shows or music, in this case, for Napster on. And there was a chance, much like today, that those services would shut down because of legal disputes. Much like in the case of Napster, with the whole music industry and Metallica going against them. Even the world's most popular anime streaming service started off like this, despite their legal feuds right now. Obviously, I'd never stoop down to that level and would rather consume my content legally and safely. Big asterisk incoming. Now, aside from a tweet like this starting the fire, we need to go back 20 or so years ago to a time when the internet was still in its infancy. Now, what was the way to support the movies and shows you loved without selling your soul to piracy? Well, the only true way to do so was through rentals or buying the media at a brick and mortar store. Sure, you've had that warning screen before the movie begins or the main menu on DVD started, but otherwise, it was yours to rent from places like Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, or yours to keep altogether in your own home. But today, the streamers have taken our wallets hostage. Back when we used to have our favorite blue box rental place around the corner, Netflix was one of the first services to introduce instant streaming of movies and TV shows. And to be able to watch the content we love at a lower price each month than on cable, that was a dream come true! And of course, a recipe for disaster. As discussed in Adam Conover's video on television's slow demise to the streamers, they've only gone up more in price. And not even Twitch is safe with this from channel subscriptions. This means that with all these services combined, you're basically paying the same amounts as you would have for cable for them. Now, that's not to say that all these services are the same price. The only ones that have remained consistent so far are Shudder and the likes of Dropout, both of which being below the $7 threshold, but they're not going to be there for much longer. So what happens when the streamers go out of control and get exponentially higher in price that you can't even pay for it? Well, there's always digital marketplaces like Apple TV and Prime Video for you to be able to rent or buy the movies there. Some of them offer early access to recent flicks that are still playing in theaters, like in the case of the aforementioned 2. So this surely seems like a viable option. Right? Right? It's no longer available? What the fuck am I gonna do? Like I've mentioned earlier, and with starting my collection anew, physical media is always an option as well, albeit a temporary one. Hey everyone, future SwaggBae here right now giving an update while I'm editing this. So it was announced earlier in the week, or actually next week, I don't know when exactly this was or when it happened, but essentially video games are no longer part of preservation efforts from the US Copyright Office, which is a major blow to most consumers of video games. So obviously I'd want to be that guy and say, like, do what you can to preserve your media, especially when, let's say, a person like you or me are huge consumers of something like film and video games. Come on, like, all we can keep doing is try to pressure our local governments, especially the US government, to make sure that they actually do their damn job and keep games and especially media preserved for generations to come. So that way our grandchilds and whatever, if we even have family, can actually get to learn about stuff that we loved. While to some, it is under the long death spell of the streamers, much like television, to others like me, it's going the way of vinyl. A resurgence to watch the movies and shows we want to watch the way that they were intended to be seen at home. We already have Christopher Nolan encouraging us to watch films like Oppenheimer on the best that the medium has to offer. 4K Blu-ray. Now, unless a newer format is introduced, this seems to be the final frontier as far as quality content goes on home video. It includes higher fidelity that you can't find on traditional Blu-rays, as well as more space to make HDR and high frame rate content possible. I only know a few films that do this, but okay. Alright, so we got the copy of our favorite flick. How the hell do we watch this? Well, it all comes down to the player of choosing. There are some cheap players out on the market, but others can be just as ridiculous to afford. Now, some of you may not realize this, but even if you don't own a player, a PlayStation 5 and the recent Xbox consoles can play Blu-ray discs natively. Not as amazing as finding a player in a compatible TV, but it gets the job done. But wait a minute, we can't find the disc in store! Well, early this year, it was announced that Best Buy and Target would start discontinuing physical media sales, especially on the Blu-ray and DVD department on the latter. At the time of recording this video, I can't even find a single one on the Best Buy mobile app. Now, I don't think that 4K Blu-rays are going to take the hit yet, but it does feel like we've already lost another minute to midnight. This now leads us to the point where neither option is accessible, where media starts getting more expensive outside of the streamers, where brick and mortars are, in fact, removing sales from physical media, and now to the point where TVs are starting to get more expensive as well. Welcome to the little thing called inflation. Well then, there is no other place to go than to the 7 Seas. A vast library of movies and TV shows that have been chronicled for generations. A title you can't buy physically or digitally? It's already pirated! Original content that was removed from Max? It's more than likely hit the pirate streaming sites. That one series you can't find because the licensor dropped distribution to maintain its damn standards? You get the point. Hell, the creators of Final Space and Infinity Train are openly endorsing this to people. But we must also be wary of where we choose to binge our pirated content. Sites like Kiss Cartoon and F Movies have shut down because of takedown requests from the studios and distributors. In the world of literature, a legal feud started by the Hatchet Book Group ended with the Internet Archive having to take down lots of digitally scanned books which were put up during the pandemic, many of which were uploaded without the express permission of the publisher and during lockdowns at that. Now, while it is important that these publishers do in fact make their money where they can, and the artists as well, putting a product out of reach from anyone who is looking to buy it only hurts their wallets even further.
Downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral.
It's no wonder why we're all going to the 7 Seas, baby! I've been hearing this Gabe Newell quote for quite some time now in a lot of videos, and it couldn't be any more true to this context. We think there is a fundamental misconception with piracy. Piracy is almost always a service problem and not a pricing problem. So what's a person like you or me to do in a situation like this? Well, it's fairly obvious. We need to put the pressure on the media companies to give us the content that we deserve. Now, everyone's different in terms of how we all watch content. Sure, you can still be a slave to the streaming ecosystem and be part of the Disney empire, or you can take control of the content you want to watch. The choice is yours to take. But as for me, I'm going to be watching this bizarre Nicolas Cage movie whose 4K steelbook I found lying in a Walmart. Why? Because I like finding weird shit, and I bet you'll probably like it too.